Morena tātou, kia ora tātou, welcome to the Bay of Plenty Civil Defence Emergency Management Group Joint Committee meeting. Yes, it is a mouthful. We are here Friday the 26th of September 2025 at the stroke of 10 a.m. and we are indeed here for what is the final CEDM group meeting for this triennium from 2022 through to 25. As we do with all our hui, please, if I can invite Stace Tahiri to open our hui today with opening karakia with karakia timatanga. We're in your hands, Stace. Thank you. Mauri ora, ngā mihi, Stace, thank you. Just in regards to our recording of our meeting today, team, please, a warm and friendly reminder, members and staff, that this meeting is being recorded and that the recording will be made available on the Bay of Plenty Regional Council website following our meeting today. Also, a warm reminder, please, to all present that local government decision making affords no protection to councillors, council officers and the public for comments made during meetings that are subsequently challenged in a court of law and determined to be slanderous. And I'm very pleased and proud to say that in the 3 years that I've been blessed to be chair of our joint committee, there have been no such comments made, and appreciate your support, team. We'll start off with agenda item 1, which is apologies this morning, and we've received apologies in from Her Worship Mayor Tapsell. We have an apology from Deputy Mayor Jen Schooler of Tauranga City Council. We have a number of members joining online, and I also have an apology from Councillor Ron Scott of our Bay of Plenty Regional Council. We'll add to that, please, an apology from Lily Folds, who has been our Regional Emergency Management Advisor from NEMA, our National Emergency Management Agency. And we do have a Shona Morgan with support from Ian Wilson joining us, who is standing in for Lily today. Are there any further apologies? If there are none, can I invite a mover? I have a mover in Councillor Campbell and a seconder in Mayor Moore. All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against? There are none. The item is carried. Agenda item 2 is offered for public forum, and we're not joined by anybody today in public forum, but we do signal that that's made available to any member of our Bay of Plenty public. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, which is items not on the agenda. There are none. We're going to stick to the agenda as we have it prepared, team. Item number 4 is the order of business. And just signalling, please, just a change in order. Item 8.8, which is the NEMA update, will actually come before item 8.7, which is the director's update, team. Hold on to your hats. When we get to that moment in time, we'll just change them around, and I'm sure I'll be assisted by Mirinda in that way. Item 5, please. Members, declaration of conflicts of interest, inviting if there are any to be declared. If there are none, we're moving on to, please, agenda item 6. We're moving very quickly this morning, which is public excluded business to be transferred into the open, and there are none this morning. Then we're on agenda item 7, which is the minutes. On page 9 of our agenda item 7.1 is the Bay of Plenty Civil Defence Emergency Management Group Joint Committee minutes, which was held, for those with great memory, back on the 4th of July 2025. Can I invite, please, a mover for the minutes of the meeting? Very good. I have a mover in Councillor Campbell. We're checking for attendance. I do have Medenya. Forgive me, Your Worship, I can see those in front of me and I am remiss in not checking the screen. I have a seconder, please, in His Worship Medenya. All those in favour, please signal aye.
Aye.
Those against? There are none. The item is carried. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? Perfect. If there are none, we'll move on to agenda item 8, please. And there are some decisions which are required. We're on page 20 of our agenda this morning, which is the Bay of Plenty Sedum Group statutory appointments, which is presented by our Director Crow. Director Crow, we're in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. This paper I will take as read, relatively procedural in nature. You'll be quite familiar with these throughout your term, and they are based around the Civil Defence Emergency Management Act, requires statutory appointments and rescindments of group and local controllers, group and local recovery managers to be approved by the Joint Committee. So you see before you today, one local controller appointment being Tina Gedson from Apotiki District Council. Apotiki District Council also putting forward 2 local recovery managers, being Annette Mundy and Peter Edwards. One appointment of a local recovery manager for Western Bay of Plenty, being Joe Linsky, and a couple of rescindments from Tauranga City, Paul Davidson and Sam Fellows as local controllers. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Director Crow. Any further business with regards to this agenda? We do have a number of resolutions that have just been covered by Director Crow. In terms of appointments, statutory appointments and rescindments, can I invite please a mover for all 6 resolutions this morning? I have a mover. I'm going to check actual process technicality. Please, Miranda, with His Worship Mayor Luca being online, he's the main member. I have an alternate member who's looking to move the motion. We're just checking. Thank you. We caught it. It took us 3 years to catch it, but we caught it now. Thank you. Do I have a mover in terms of members? I have a mover in Mayor Moore. I have a seconder in Mayor Drysdale. I'm going to cast my eyes to Miranda to check that we're more in Drysdale. Very good. All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against? There are none. The item is carried. Very good. On to page 26 of our agenda this morning, please. Team, we're at agenda item 8.2, which is the draft Bay of Plenty Sedum Group Annual Report 24 through to 25. And we're joined at the table this morning, Morena Paul, by Paul Greenshields, our Manager of Planning. Paul, we're in your hands. Thank you.
Morena, Your Worship. So I'd like to present the draft annual report for the group. I'll take it as read. It provides an overview of the group office-led activities for 2024-2025. And I ask that you receive that report and endorse the Bay of Plenty CDM Group annual report. Sorry. Any questions?
Thank you, Paul. We'll open up for any questions or points of clarification from members, from all members, including alternate members who are attending our meeting this morning. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
His Worship, Medenya, we're in your hands.
Yeah, I just
Thank
want
you.
to check on page 50. There's a financial overview. I just want to check those are thousands of dollars rather than actual dollars, right?
Yes, they are thousands of dollars, yes.
I might just want to put the 3 zeros in just to make it clear.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have confirmation that our young Paul will take care of that and have that added for clarity. Thank you. If there's nothing further, please, from members. This is like playing tennis.
Apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Who am I looking at?
Apologies, Chair. It's Sandra Kaifong here. The host has stopped my camera and I can't turn it back on. I've got a
Deputy
message.
Worship Kai Fong, I apologise for that. We'll check from our end.
It says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. Thank you.
We can
Sorry.
see you
Thank you.
now, Deputy Worship. Good morning, Morena. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. What's all going now?
Thank you, ngā mihi. If there's nothing further in regards to this agenda item, team, we have two resolutions, please. To receive the Bay of Plenty Sedum Group annual report, thank you, Paul, 24 to 25, and to endorse the Bay of Plenty Sedum Group annual report 24 to 25. Can I invite a mover, please? I have a mover in Councillor Campbell and a seconder in His Worship Medina. All those in favour, please signal aye.
Aye.
Those against? There are none. The item is carried. We are on page 66 of our agenda this morning. Agenda item 8.3, which is the Bay of Plenty Sedum Group annual review of controllers and recovery managers, 1 July 24 through to 30 June 2025. And we're back in the hands of Director Crow. Thank you.
Thank you again, Your Worship. And again, I'll take this paper as read. However, I might just take a little bit of a liberty and talk to the intent of this paper, as you won't have seen this before. You may recall from the controller development or control and recovery manager development and progression pathway documents that came by this forum last year, there's a requirement in there to conduct annual reviews for those key leadership positions. So this is the representation of that work. Really, it's a risk and assurance piece, to be frank. It's around the training, engagement, professional development, and both exercise and event response and recovery experience that these key leadership roles have undertaken in the last term. Under section 2 of this report, we talk there briefly around the returns. So we send out a document to all these individuals to fall back to us on what that engagement and training has looked like for them for the last period. And then we collate it, assuming it's satisfactory, and report on it here. The outcome is we are then to, if the engagement, if you like, hasn't perhaps been what we were looking for, then we go back to any affected individuals and work on the appropriateness of that going forward. So that's the sort of the intent of the paper, is to cover off that risk and assurance piece. That's why you see it before you. So it's rather procedural in that nature, but it does give us one action to follow up with, and that's working with one of the local controllers to just work on some training and exposure, if you like, so that they are current when it comes to working in this environment under pressure. Thank you, Your Worship. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, look, congratulations on that, Mark. I think, and when I've been going around on the campaign trail, there's a whole lot of things going on, and I know Deputy Mayor Amick talked about this the other day when we were at Great Power. I don't think we skite enough about what we actually do, and it's actually something that is really, really important that people that your members go to some of these venues and be aware of, let the people be aware. And I know that Leslie brought it to our attention, and it was, I think there was a question thrown at us all about, well, what's the most important thing facing the Bay of Plenty region in the next 3 years? Easy question, but boy, oh boy, does it take some answering. And when you talk about civil defence, it's not very sexy as far as they talk about rates. That's a real clincher, but it's so important. And I know when I came on to the regional council 3 years ago, I banged on a little bit about weather and all the rest of it, not knowing what was coming down the track with Gabrielle. And it is so important to let people know. And Leslie mentioned about, you've got to be self-aware of what's going on. And I think that's something that we need to, if those of us are around the table next time, hopefully, or we might not be here. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. You never know. I think it's so important that we really drive this home from a civil defence point. You know, we've spent a lot of money bringing us up to speed in the last 10 years that I've been around anyway. And it's so important that we've got to start letting people know exactly what they are up for. And we saw it happening in this community when the tsunami warnings and all the rest of it. It was just a dog's breakfast. And you know, had it actually hit here, we would have been in trouble. And so thank God it didn't. And same thing with Gabrielle. And we, you know, in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, we were facing a whole lot of horrors coming down the track at us. And as it went out, followed Boulder basically and come in the back door. So I think it's really, really important that we start making people aware of where they are, and without frightening people. And I don't know how you actually do that. But as soon as you mention, hey, you know, guess what? And I made a slip up the other day and mentioned, you know, if you're living near the sea, oh goodness. And then I realized what I'd said, and I thought, oh hell, that's not a good thing to say. But you know, there's a lot of, especially in places like with great power, they've got to be kept safe. So you've got to keep them in the right place and all the rest of it. So it's just, I think we need to start telling people a little bit more about what we actually do. That's just my opinion anyway.
Deputy Mayor Imig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Malcolm, for mentioning it, because it's actually a really big concern of me that I think as an organisation with the Bay of Plenty Civil Defence and their teams and the training of staff and management of the respective councils, they feel embodied and they feel empowered that they know what to do in an emergency. But when you do go out there to the community, the word climate change means different things to different people. And I don't think the word climate change pushes home hard enough the disaster and natural events that are occurring through climate change. And for example, with grey power in our retirement homes and the schools, I talked about Tsunami Tendenko, and I know that's just one natural event, but it was really well received, and lots of people asked questions after, like, why can't our communities be as prepared? And I'm aware Regional Council once every 2 years asks 2 emergency preparedness questions, and you know, my focus is to try and get it on our community resident survey as well. But I just wonder if we need something a little bit more joined up that can be a measurement, you know, and it's probably not this committee's responsibility, it's probably the council's. But we're really not singing the right song sheet about what we're doing behind the scenes to get prepared. Yeah. There's more concern probably about that equally as it is with rate increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Imig. And I just wonder, with the chair of the KEG, CE McTavish, about at an operational level in terms of getting a lens into the operational preparedness, perhaps is what I'm hearing from Deputy Mayor Imig, that there might be some work that's warmly welcome to be able to lift that and give it visibility so people can see. We are fortunate at this joint committee governance level to be able to receive the information, but for our average Joe public out there, they may not be as aware as members of this committee are of just what's happening behind the scenes. And we know there's a lot, and there's a far wider group of other agencies and iwi partners at your level. Thank you, Chair of our KEG committee.
Morena, thank you for that. We'll follow up and bring a report to the next joint committee. There are a lot of conversations going on with communities and all the councils. It's a really good news story. So, for example, Your Worship, on Monday night in Ahonimutu, there was a discussion with residents there, with RLC and Bay of Plenty Regional Council, talking about the need to potentially evacuate with flooding. So these conversations are happening community by community, but we don't provide you with the full view. I also think it's a really good idea to look in terms of whether we can use our resident surveys in the future to have that joined up view as well. So we'll report back to you.
Appreciated. Thank you, Director Crow.
Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you for the comments, councillors. I appreciate those. But just maybe a brief response. I think, yeah, that's the constant challenge we have as a CDM sector, if you like. So I talk about the group office, but also our partners within your offices. Is it's not to use your terminology, it's not a sexy subject until the day that it suddenly is. And then it's, sort of what's been happening in the background and what are you going to do about it? So I think we have invested very, very strongly in the last 10, 12 years. I think there's been a significant uplift. It's about keeping us there, but it's also about changing and evolving with what's coming. Now CDM to some extent is the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. So the events happened and then people see us. There's a lot more we can be doing in the risk reduction space, which is partially us, but it's actually all of you guys as well. It's around not allowing people in the built environment or the built environment to be in the wrong place. There's only so much we can do about this, and that's a real collaborative effort that needs to happen to have any effect on that real long-term risk. So that's perhaps something to take back. I appreciate the comments on the public education and the public awareness. That's something we do in collaboration. And Sammy and I have been talking about that just this week, about how we can connect that up a bit better over the summer period, but then also going forward. So perhaps we can report on that next round as well to give you some insight as to what that program might look like. So we'll take those couple of actions away. Thank you.
Thank you, Director
Just a
Crow.
comment on that. Mark, I think that there's a couple of scenarios that I've picked up in the east. One was Edgecombe. And the most important people were the farming community that came in with their tractors and the likes. And as I say, it's not very sexy getting picked up and dumped on an old hay trailer or anything like that. But by gee, I tell you what, I know what I'd rather be there than put myself in the water with it. And another one was at when the tsunami warning hit in Aporiki. They evacuated children from the high school out to Waiweka, and they had to walk. And I know of one person said, "Well, I would have quite happily put on my cattle truck and thrown them all in there." And I mean, geez, that was a great thing. When I was a kid, to get in a bloody cattle truck and go for a ride. But gee, if I had to walk, it's a long way out to Waiweka Marae, and to get them out of there and safe, so those are the sort of things that we need to talk a little bit about. But yeah, no, you guys are doing a great job, but I think we need to, as councillors, need to start putting our best foot forward, because it's not when it's going to happen, or if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Thank you.
Very good. I'll just check online that we haven't got any hands up from participating members. There are none. We have a resolution, please, to receive the report Bay Plenty CDM Group annual review of controllers and recovery managers 1 July 24 to 30 June 25. Can I invite a mover, please? I have a mover in Councillor Campbell and a seconder in Mayor Moore. All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against? There are none. The item is carried. We're on page 70 of our agenda this morning at agenda item 8.4. The Bay Plenty, talking about public awareness, Councillor Campbell, Bay Plenty CDM Hazard Escape Report. We are rejoined by Paul Greenshields and Ben Neve. Welcome back, Ben. Gentlemen, we're in your hands, and we do have a PowerPoint also this morning.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Great segue from that conversation here to the Hazardscape report for the Bay of Plenty. The report was developed to provide a comprehensive overview of the hazards which pose the risk to the Bay of Plenty, and it draws upon an extensive range of scientific, geospatial, historical data given through conversations and input from experts from across the region and nationwide. I've got Ben Neve here to run through the report in some greater detail and give you some insights into what this report will be able to support conversations like we've just had. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Madam Chair. Andrea has just passed out a sample of the report for each of you to have a look at as we pass through this presentation. Mirinda, thanks. So the aim of this report was quite simple. We identified a gap similar to the gap that yourself, Leslie, and Malcolm identified, and that we need to have a better understanding of our hazardscape to the wider Bay of Plenty in order to educate our communities about that risk. So the aim of this report was to develop a simple, understandable, plain English report to support hazard awareness to the wider Bay of Plenty. The reason we decided that this was necessary is that ultimately we are under an obligation to do so. Under Section 17 of the CEDAM Act, we have an obligation as a group to identify, assess and manage hazards and risk, and where appropriate, identify and implement cost-effective risk reduction. This is just one mechanism in which we can understand our risk and then present it to our community so it can be managed both at a community level, but also through respective councils. Additionally, through Directors Guideline 2322 from NEMA, Risk Assessment Guidance for CEDAM Group Planning, this report aims to consolidate the information available to us to inform the risk assessment guidance from a CEDAM perspective. So how did we do it? MBOP and Simplexity, which is a contractor that we engaged to bring together the sections of this report, worked with over 30 partner and science agencies to collate all the relevant hazard information to the Bay of Plenty. So the aim was to bring together all the information we could from a wide range of sources, from both reports done at the council level, but also at our partner agencies at GNS, NIWA and the likes. This draft was then circulated with our partner agencies to ensure that it was accurate and up to date, and then we went out to stakeholders further following that. As you see in front of you, each hazard section is broken down into the following sections. So firstly, there's an overview of the hazard and what it means. Then there's a where appropriate New Zealand context, and then Bay of Plenty context. Where there's been events of their respective hazard within a given area, we look to tell the story of the hazard and the impact it had on the Bay of Plenty. We then look at the hazard management from a community level, but also a council perspective to look at how we manage the events and how we manage the hazard going forward. We then look to acknowledge and reference any relevant sources that we have. So the example in front of you is one hazard out of the 25 to 30 hazards that we have encompassed within the overarching hazardscape report. And in total, it's actually a 200-page report. There is a lot of doubling up of some of the information as a result of this, but it means that these resources can be used by themselves to inform community education. So for instance, we've already had teams within council reach out that want to have a climate change section which looks at coastal erosion, coastal inundation and tsunami impacts. So we can put into a bundle and share with our communities to inform them on those specific hazards and risks. So who will use it? Hopefully everyone. We're looking to use it at multiple levels. So for public education for communities, for where appropriate as well, informing elected officials, as well as our own staff who don't have the information or context of the different hazards that are posed to the Bay of Plenty region. And additionally, because the science constantly evolves, we're looking to ensure that it ensure it's relevant and up to date where appropriate. So we'll conduct a yearly review cycle where new information when new information comes to light, to ensure that the information housed within the report is always relevant and up to date where appropriate. We will then look to develop bespoke resources for emergency management officers within each of the councils to deliver specific public education campaigns, as I alluded to earlier. That's all I have for the presentation, but if you've got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Thanks.
Thank you, team members. We're in your hands, Deputy Mayor Imig. I've got...
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm really liking what I see in its simplicity and its ability to be packaged together for different communities with different hazards. And I see in the economic impacts, you've got our infrastructure replacement and devastation. And it's just a little side question. Trying to buy a home on the coast in our communities is getting really hard now. And I know real estate agents are not part of this purview, but have you thought about doing an education session with them, not to fearmonger them, but to give them some reality, good, safer statements about when people are purchasing? Because the insurance companies are now just refusing to insure in some places, and yet there's been no incident in some of these areas for, ever.
Thank you, Your Worship. We've looked at the next stage of this project is looking at how we do roll it out to our communities in the broader sector. I'm currently working with our communications advisor, senior communications advisor, Sammy, on how we do that most appropriately. And as part of that, we'll look to how we push it to the wider private sector as well as our local authority staff as well in the community.
And just supplementary, probably also property developers and surveyors, like as a collective, so they actually understand when they're doing it right at the concept stage. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, His Worship, Mayor Vittorio Luca.
I spend a bit of time looking at the GNS fault hazard, active fault data set. It seems to not allow you to zoom in very much. It's a sort of an adjunct to your report, really.
Mayor Luca, we're just having some feedback. There you go, that's the word I'm looking for. Mayor Moore suggested karaoke, but feedback coming in and not quite catching your...
Is that any better?
Not a lot. Slightly better, but not much.
Forget it.
Thank you. Perhaps you might be able to use the chat room function, Your Worship, to table your comment and or question. I know you're very passionate about preparing our people for any hazards that might occur across our Bay of Plenty region, particularly in the Whakatane Rohe. So please do take up the chat room opportunity, Your Worship, if you can, if you're able. If there's anything else in regards to our hazards from other members? No, if there's nothing further, thank you, Korua. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ben. We do. There's a message. Do we have the ability to please pick up that message? Go, Mark, jump in.
Thank you, Your Worship. We did use the GNS Active Fault Map where appropriate. I note that that is an outdated piece of website within GNS. I believe there is plans to get updated, but I'll reach out to GNS and Earth Science New Zealand to get an update for you in due course. Thanks.
Excellent. We have thumbs up from Mayor Luca there. Happy with that response. Very good. To receive the report, please, do I have a mover to receive the Hazardscape report? I have a mover in Councillor Campbell and a seconder in Mayor Denia. All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against? There are none. The item is carried. We are at page 74 of our agenda this morning. Agenda item 8.5 interesting time of the triennium for most. Declaring states of local emergency during local government elections. Director Crow, we're in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Once again, I'll take this paper as read, and I'm sure many around the table are familiar with the process for the declaration of states of emergency, shall we say midterm. But once we start the election cycle, the arrangements change a little bit. We are somewhat lucky this time, if you will. Normally, we default to a setting of either having consulting with the minister and getting a minister to apply his powers to put a state of emergency in place, and or on occasion there tends to be an urgent meeting or some other mechanism put in place to allow the powers to be used. However, on this occasion, we have 3 members that will continue as part of the joint committee over that period, and that being the 3 elected members from Tauranga City. So we will be able to call upon you 3 individuals. Thank you. Should we need a declaration signed prior to new councils being sworn in, we'll probably loop back to Paula and Paula's team at some point in time, just to make sure we've got a process well defined for that short period of time. But as enabled by the group plan and as detailed in the report before you, that the mechanism exists within the group to allow that to occur at any ward, district or regional level. So perhaps if I can look back to you, Paula, at some point in the near future, just to make sure you have all the information you need to support that decision making.
Not needed, touch wood. Did I catch that, Mayor Drysdale? Absolutely. Any questions or points of clarification from members, committee members? Thank you, Director Crow. Look, it is an interesting time in the triennium. That's for those who are interested across our Bay of Plenty Rohe, just a reassurance that there are systems in place to be able to look after the area. Touch wood, Mayor Drysdale, that they're not needed, but should they be, that there are mechanisms that are available and in place. One might say we are very fortunate in that we have a unique situation in the Bay of Plenty where we do have our Tauranga City Council in place. So we are safe in the hands, Mayor Drysdale, Deputy Mayor Schooler, Councillor Schuler, and Tauranga Moana. Very fortunate to have that, dare I say, but an assurance that there are some mechanisms in place. Councillor Campbell.
Happy to move, Worship. Wasn't sure to call you a chair. Yeah, happy to move and really just hoping that Mayor Drysdale doesn't have to act on those sort of things. After 21 years as a mayor of Kawerau, I've never ever had to declare anything like that, so I was blessed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a mover in Councillor Campbell. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Of a seconder in Mayor Moore? All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against? There are none. The item is carried. Thank you, Director Crow. We're at page 80 of our agenda this morning, which is agenda item 8.6, the Bay of Plenty CEDAM Group Training KPI measurement. This item is being presented, yes, I'm just confirming that, by Stace Tahiri, our Manager of Operations of MBOP. Stace, we're in your hands. Thank you.
Stace Tahiri Aho, the Operations Manager for Emergency Management Bay of Plenty. So we've presented the latest training stats across the Rohe for you. I'll take it largely as read. I will point out that we have had some uplift in a few areas, particularly with regards to our recovery managers and some of the leadership, and we are working through some other leadership issues isn't the right word, but some other leadership areas within this space. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, members. We're in your hands, please. His Worship Medenia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just looking on page 86, and it talks about the difficulty in getting staff engaged and released to attend training, and difficulty to fill training courses. I just wondering, is this a short-term issue? For example, I know our staff are pretty busy with various reforms like local order done well, etc. Or is it a more chronic issue? Perhaps you can clarify that for me.
Manager Tahiri, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Denyer, and through the chair. I think it's a bit of both. Each council is approaching it in their own particular ways. For example, your council is a prime example, actually, who have kicked off an initiative where next year you will spend an entire week with your entire council at the start of the year undertaking civil defence emergency management training to uplift in that space. And that is a dedicated week where we will run 2 intermediate courses and a bunch of other training areas in order to lift that. Now that's a short-term answer, but could become a long-term answer depending on how it goes. In terms of the long term, maybe I might pass to Director Crowe to give a bit of an oversight with the upcoming ledge changes and what that might look like.
Thanks, Stace. Yeah, so look, and I'll leave the talking to the bill change and MSIP to Nima's brief report that'll follow this. The implications for us in terms of that changing environment are probably unknown. They're indicated, but they're unknown. I think the piece to reflect on is the ongoing pressure within your own organisations around our workload, staff pressures, financial budgets, and so forth, and the ability for people to be released for this, or the priority perhaps. You will notice that it is, it's one of the core deliverables now, CDEM, and really that needs to be a focus. That release of your staff needs to be a focus to ensure that you maintain the capability to deliver CDEM when it's required. Failing to do so, and we've all read reports around that in the last 24, 36 months, failure to have that trained staff does not put you in an admirable position when the day comes. I might just take a liberty just to talk to one element of the report, which I just want to highlight because particularly for ODC today, you'll see a couple of red lines around the recovery managers. This report doesn't reflect the early resolution. So if we were to overlay on top of this, the picture's rosier. There's been a lot of internal effort go towards, but we just weren't able to reflect that in today's report until those resolutions are passed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I guess it's one of those things where it's easy to, if staff are busy, to push it out and not do the training. But when the bad stuff happens, you kind of really, it's an investment worth having.
Indeed.
Thank you, Your Worship. Anything further from members? Director Crowe, I think it might be appropriate to just acknowledge that this has been a conversation we've carried through the entire triennium, is the duality responsibility of staff within council whare. When recruitments are made, that is primarily for the role within council that you are looking to recruit a skill set that will meet that need. The duality and the secondary consideration is under the civil defence legislation, the responsibility that follows should it be required and needed. I believe perhaps later on in the meeting, Director Crowe, there might be an opportunity where that was tabled by the group in the submission to the civil defence reform review, that it was signalled yet again as part of the challenge of having the duality role between council and your civil defence responsibilities. There may be an opportunity later. Thank you. If there's nothing further from committee members, please. There is a recommendation to receive the report, CDEM Group Training KPI Measurement. If I can invite a mover. I have a mover. Thank you, Mayor Drysdale, and a seconder, and Deputy Mayor Kai Fong, if I saw that. And Deputy Mayor Kai Fong, all those in favour, please signal aye. Those against, the item is carried. Thank you. As signalled earlier, we do have a change in the order of business. Thank you, Manager Tahiri. We are moving to agenda item 8.8, which is the National Emergency Management Agency, or the NEMA, update for the Bay of Plenty Set-in Joint Committee Group today, the 26th of September, 2025. And we're joined by Shona Morgan. Can I just get a signal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Morena.
Morena.
Ko Shona Morgan tuku ingoa. I am here today on behalf of your Regional Advisor, Lily Folds, who is away. So I'll just talk to our update briefly and take it as read. I will touch on a couple of items, the first one being the Emergency Management Bill, and it's outlined there, the process that's going through at the moment. I just wanted to highlight too that there were 324 submissions received on the proposal document, and that is going to be planned to go through to Select Committee towards the end of the year, and there will be another opportunity to provide submissions and feedback on the draft bill at that time. Alongside the bill is the next item there, which is the Emergency Management System Improvement Program. And so there will be budget bids going forward for 3 items there that you can see that have been identified: regional support teams, public readiness, and community development, as well as increasing the Resilience Fund. And there's a timeline there on what is happening with those budget bids as well. And the last item I'll highlight is the Resilience Fund. And I know that Bay of Plenty have made really good use of this contestable fund in the past. Just wanted to remind you that the applications for that fund close on the 31st of January next year. So now's a good time to start preparing if you'd like to submit to those. And I will stop there and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Shona. Appreciate your update. Committee members, any questions, please? With regards to our National Emergency Management Agency. Our regards to our Deputy Mayor Imig. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And hello, Shona. Just a simple question. Are we expecting any more funds to be added to the Resilience Fund going forward?
That's the intention of putting the budget bid forward, yes, is that it will, if we are invited to put a budget bid forward, it will be to increase the Resilience Fund. Currently it's at around 800,000. It has been that amount for a number of years, and the proposal is to increase it.
So just a supplementary, so council should be preparing and planning for how they might be able to support your bid for that? Or do we have to have a particular project?
How it normally works is there's the 800,000 that's currently available, and you put an application in, and it gets reviewed and selected based on the application. And the change I think that is coming is an increase in funds, so it will increase from 800,000. So your Director Crow will lead the application process for that. And I guess it will come to your committee for approval before putting that in.
Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Shona. Anything further from committee members, please? If there's nothing further, happy to receive the NEMA update today. Can I have a mover, please? I have a mover, very slow mover for our last meeting, team. I'm just going to say, I have a mover in Mayor Moore and a seconder in Councillor Campbell. All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against, the item is carried. We are at agenda item 8.7, which is our verbal update from the Director of Emergency Management, Bay of Plenty. Director Crow, we're in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Last time you should hear from me today, team. Sorry if it's getting a bit of a monotone for you. What I intend to do with this is just run through perhaps a few lower level things, but things that I tend to find are of interest. So I'll touch on a couple of points for you. We're working on some vacancy management at the moment. So we're currently in the market for 5 roles, which 2 are in our summer assistant program. So they're a very short-term fill, and the rest brings us back up to a full roster. Thank you, Shona, for your update on the Resilience Fund. But just to clarify, and I think to answer your question, the budget bit is a NEMA internal process. It's not something groups or local put a pen to. It's dealt with internally. You may recall a couple of weeks ago, there was quite a significant wind event out here, particularly in Western Bay of Plenty. And while it might have gone unnoticed, there was quite a significant impact to the horticultural sector, particularly avocados is one example, with some really high reported losses for both the fruit for the season and obviously the flow-on industries and some tree stock as well. So our recovery function, Julian, who you've met many times, engaged initially with NEMA and MPI. Thankfully, due to Julian's diligence, it wasn't really on anyone else's radar. So now MPI have been engaged and are working with those local growers on what that might look like for them with the financial pressures that's going to take. So for me, that's actually worthy of a real acknowledgement to Julian for taking the initiative, which helps to support those communities when they otherwise wouldn't have got it. Another significant piece of work we've undertaken, which you won't perhaps have a very good eye on at the moment, is we've done a lot of work with the tsunami planning. You've seen the tsunami mapping. We've talked a little bit about EMA, so the emergency mobile alerts. You've seen and heard, no doubt, at all hours of the day and night. However, there's been a gap in the middle. So we receive, this is quite an operational thing, but something I think that's a benefit for you to know. We receive earthquake warnings, if you like, from the Pacific, from a couple of sources, primarily the US generated data, without going into it too much, that initiates the New Zealand system that then forms up a threat response. Where I'm going with that is the delay between the event and the action that we have to take can sometimes be quite long. And you will have seen that 5th of March 21 and even subsequent events since then. We've formed the view in the group office that that delay is not acceptable. And while we now better appreciate the national mechanism for how that's created, it doesn't provide our communities with the protection they need. Where I'm going with that is we've initiated a contract with GNS to provide us, we're calling it a playbook, and thank you, James, for your work in this space, whereby an event will happen, we'll get a northing and southing, so a geolocation for it, we can drop it on a map with the magnitude and get an immediate, probably rather coarse threat assessment. So we'll know immediately if we have to do a lot or something or nothing, or there'll be a wee gap in the middle that we will actually require further intelligence on, which we'll lean on NEMA for. But it's taking away that high-end threat and that bottom no action, so we can better inform our communities on round what can really be critical timelines. So to translate that for you, if we get a regional source tsunami, we might have 2 to 3 hours to evacuate areas. And on occasions, half of that's been taken up deciding whether we need to do anything or not. That doesn't work for the group office. So we've developed this, or in the process of developing this playbook. Due in February, we'll be able to do a lot more of that intelligence up front, buy that time back for the communities effectively. So you'll see more of that in due course. We have developed, obviously, for the post-election, the incoming elected members will, as always, have the induction day, which is programmed for 8th of December. That is being communicated, and we've locked the program in for that. The reason I bring it up is we've also, and just to confirm for this forum, based on previous discussions, we've also planned out the next sort of 12, 18 months worth of training, the short sessions that we'll put on the end of the joint committee meetings going forward. So that's been mapped out and developed and confirmed, Your Worship, as requested. So we can communicate that now or at the induction day going forward.
Deputy Mayor Mink.
Just following on from that, I think when we had that workshop that James was facilitating, there was some view that elected members needed more than once a term update. So is this 18 months one adding on to the end of meetings is where we bring other elected members in, or is it going to be separate?
Thank you. Really good question. So in my mind, it would look like the initial induction on day 1, December 8. We would then hold short sessions after each meeting for those that wish to stay and attend, and then probably one midterm, which is another snapshot, slightly longer session where you can bring whoever you wish. To be honest, we haven't developed that piece yet. It's on our radar. We're focused on getting the initial induction done and mapping out to that point. What that midterm piece looks like, I think we'll assess after the first induction day. But thank you for your question, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Immick. It may be pieces of work that each individual council leads out, supported by the Bay of Plenty group. Thank you.
And final point for me, another one that's another initiative through group, which you won't have seen on the annual work program, but I think it's a gap that we're looking to address. In New Zealand, for CDM as a sector, there is only one conferencing opportunity provided every 2 years. So each of the South Island groups run a conference, which is bounced around the groups. So they effectively get it once every 6 years, and they deliver a conference which has become a national forum. The North Island doesn't and hasn't for many years. So we're looking to initiate that in the North Island, same sort of structure, working on the opposite year. So there's a development opportunity each year, and taking the initiative to put the Bay of Plenty forward to do the first one. Program for September 27. So we'll come back to you on that. Probably a question you may have once you leave is, it won't cost anything. That's the plan. It should be cost neutral. So, but we'll report on that closer to the time. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Crow. Forgive me, Mayor Denia, I have my glasses on as well, which is incredibly frightening, but welcome on in. Forgive me for missing your raised hand.
That's all right. I'm heartened, and I want to thank Julian for following up about the wind damage in the Western Bay. And I know the avocado growers particularly in Katikati, have been hit pretty hard with 80 or 90% fruit losses. You talked about engaging MPI in discussions around the financial loss. Can you give me any indication of what support or what financial assistance is being considered?
Thank you for your question, Mayor Denia. I think I'd probably be putting you astray if I was to answer that now. I know that it's gone back to MPI and it's been an ongoing discussion with them. To tell you where it's landed, I think I'd be a little remiss, but I'm happy to take that and report back.
Great. I'll be keen to hear what's being considered at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing further from committee members, please just a resolution to receive the verbal update from our Director of Emergency Management, Bay of Plenty, for July 25. I'm happy to take the mover as Mayor Denia, if I can take the liberty, and a second, and Councillor Campbell. Thank you. All those in favour, please signal aye.
Aye.
Those against? There are none. The item is carried. We are at the stroke of 11 a.m, Mirinda, and we're at agenda item 9, which is the public excluded section. We do have an item where withholding the information is necessary to maintain legal professional privilege. If I can have a mover, please. I have a mover in Councillor Campbell and a seconder in Deputy Mayor Kaifong. All those in favour, please signal aye. Aye. Those against? The item is carried. And we are at 11:13 a.m. Welcome back, everybody. For our online participants, we've had the return of our whānau at 11:14 a.m. with the readmission of the public. We're at agenda item 12, which is the consideration of items not on the agenda, of which there are none. And we come to agenda item number 13, where we are blessed to be able to undertake a recognition of long service for a wonderful woman, a wonderful lady, a wonderful servant of our civil defence mahi and family, in Barbara Dempsey. And it is my sincere pleasure to invite Barbara, please, to join us. Barbara, please, if you would join us just here at the top table. Let's get Kia ora, everybody. We're joined by Barbara and her whānau this morning here in the Tauranga City Council chamber, and it's wonderful to have you join us here this morning. I do have some notes that have been prepared for me, Barbara. You've been part of the civil defence whānau for possibly longer than I've definitely been in council, we'll put it that way. So if I can share this, please, for those less familiar with this journey. In 2018, Barbara was awarded her 20 years service award to Civil Defence Emergency Management at a ceremony at the Whareumire at the Beehive. Now, 7 years later, we are here to recognise Barbara's dedication and service to the Bay of Plenty CEDM Group. You started your journey at Ruapehu District Council in 1997. We're just checking that that's accurate. As General Manager, who was responsible for the CEDM portfolio and were the alternate local controller. During this time, you were involved in the Ohura floods in 1998. With a move to Whakatane District Council in 2006, you took up the response roles as Welfare Manager and Operations Manager, and during this time led the Matata Regeneration Project. In 2012, you moved further down the coast to Opotiki as General Manager and again as the GM for Civil Defence Emergency Management. You acted in the role of local controller and were the council's representative on the Bay of Plenty CEDM Coordinating Executive Group, which we lovingly refer to as KEG. During this time, you responded to various significant flooding events in the Whakatane district. You moved to Whakatane again in 2017, where you were appointed as Controller and Recovery Manager and responded to the Edgecombe floods, Cyclone DB and Cook. In May 2019, you joined the wonderful metropolis of Tauranga City Council as GM of Regulatory and Compliance and undertook the role of Local Recovery Manager alongside being responsible for CEDM portfolio, where you were Council's representative on the Bay Plenty CEDM KEG Group, Local Authorities Committee, and provided the Council's leadership team with advice on CEDM matters. Barbara has been instrumental in the growth of emergency management within the Council and seen the team grow from 1 to 2 staff in the 7 professional emergency management officers that we have today. And you've also overseen the increased engagement from the Council staff in CEDM. With your move away from the CEDM portfolio, we take this opportunity today to recognise and celebrate your 27 years of service and dedication to the Bay of Plenty CEDM Group. Your wealth of knowledge, Barbara, and your experience will be greatly missed by all. Homai te paki paki whānau.
Thank you so much. You're very welcome. That was very accurate. Thank you. Thank you.
The floor is yours, my darling. Let's
I've
turn
never
that
pushed the
on.
button at this end of the table, but I look so. Thank you. Wow, 27 years. How did that happen? For goodness' sake, things have changed, and I smile at Malcolm. Things have changed, haven't they, Malcolm? You made comment about Ohura. That was the first declared emergency I was involved in, and that was one of the early declarations in New Zealand. In those days, we didn't declare; it just wasn't the rural thing to do. I recall after, when you're leaving and you've been somewhere for this length of time, you reflect. I mean, I'm not normally a person who looks backwards. I'm normally, just striving forwards. But I do recall after that event, I had this young, well, it seemed young to me, university student did a paper on the Ahura emergency and recovery because it was one of the very first declared emergency. And I remember he gave me a copy of his paper, and one of the things I said was the leading quote, and I had said, I never want to be practiced enough to be good at this. Goodness, haven't times changed? We spend so much time training, practicing, getting ready for events. In those days, it was just all in, and you just did it. But of course, our community's expectations have changed as well. When somebody's house gets flooded now, they don't just take the carpet out, let it dry and get back on with life. They have a really high expectation from us as politicians and as staff members. Yeah, Valeen, that was lovely, thank you. And I have been involved in all aspects of civil defence planning for the Ruapehu Laha. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but that was years of planning, and thankfully was very successful. Obviously, Horizons and Bay of Plenty involved in their early group plans. Controller, way too many floods, cyclones, snow events to list, and of course recovery. You mentioned two of the big ones I've been involved in. Civil defence is the most emotionally draining, tiring, ageing activity you can be involved in, and also the most rewarding. Obviously Edgecombe was just so sad and so rewarding just to help people get back into their homes. We had 325 families that weren't in their home, but to support them getting back in their homes and just seeing them getting back to normality, that's an absolute privilege. Thank you for this acknowledgement. I could also acknowledge so many people I've worked with. The list is long, and Malcolm, at this time, I think of Chris Jensen. Chris and Dave and I were the East GMs that were advocating for the East in the new planning and the regime that we have today. But the most important team is my home team. Richard, Justin, Aileen. Gosh, it was all right till then.
We're doing well.
Emergency management is a family commitment. You can't do it without your family support. The long hours in the early days, it was not an 8-hour shift. The times, Richard, you and I slept on staff room floors because you were weak. You just grabbed a few hours sleep. And the times that the family had to look after themselves because you were at work for weeks on end, trying to get home sometimes, especially in Ruapehu, because there was so many road slips, you just couldn't get home often. I do remember a time when I drove into a wall of water in the middle of the night trying to get to the headquarters, and it was Richard who came and saved me, and the council car, because I killed it, as you do when you drive into a wall of water. So you can't do this without your family, and I've got a wonderful one. So thank you again. Thank you so much for the kind words and the acknowledgement. And my very best wishes for civil defence for the future. You've got teams of absolutely wonderful people who are very capable. You're in very good hands. So well done, guys, and thank you. Stay there, okay.
That'd be great. Barbara, thank you. And quite fittingly, as you say, for all the work that we undertake in our legislative council roles, that it is our family that often have to pick up the tired, sometimes a little bit sad and broken pieces to be able to lift you up and hold you, and grumpy. There you go. There's a 7-2 Mayor, and grumpy, to be able to fill your cup up again, dare I say, and keep getting up and battling for what you believe is good in the service of our people. Barbara, thank you so much. And look, it was clearly I've not been part of my council for 27 years, and we were well informed because we have a wonderful team behind us. It was just my sincere honore, my honour to be able to share your journey with our entire group as we sit here in our arrangement in 2025. Thank you so much. Kaitama, we have actually come to the conclusion of our final CEDAM Joint Committee Group meeting for the triennium for 2022 to 2025. Also, always interesting work to sit at that Bay of Plenty regional level. Well, when the call goes up or the declaration needs to be made, it's actually a lot closer to home than the arrangement that sits here, but it is always undertaken with thanks and confidence that there's a Bay of Plenty team who are there behind you to be able to help. I might just, for those committee members, it is our final meeting. For some, knowingly, for those who are stepping down from their council roles, for some of us, unknowingly, as is the case, I may just invite for committee members who would like to just perhaps share a bouquet or some words at the conclusion of this triennium for each of our councils that we represent. Mayor Drysdale, I believe Tauranga City Council will remain in place and wait, I'm sure, with excitement and bated breath for those who will return to the Bay of Plenty setting. Mayor Moore, please.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I can't believe the 3 years is gone. I've learned the hard way. You don't mention anything about you coming back, so I hope to come back. Hopefully, it's not my last meeting, and I really like being part of this group. It's a massive part of being the mayor that you know, there's a lot of thought goes into what happens, what ifs, and just to those that are going to pick up the mantle again, pick your alternates or your people that you're going to take into this role very seriously. You know, it's important that, you know, you've got someone that's going to have your back and your community's back, and take it very seriously too. But good luck to everyone, and hope to see everyone back.
Thank you, Mayor Luca. We may have a second go and see if we have success this time round. If there's any comments you'd like to make, please. Words of appreciation to your civil defence teams in-house, Your Worship.
Well, let me know if I can actually be heard. It's all good. Yeah. Well, as has been said by Mayor Moore, 3 years has gone by like the wind. Been a pleasure to be around the table. We are facing an increasingly complex hazardscape as climate change bites. So I think we all know that we're expecting more extreme and more intense weather events, and I think that those are the probably main or risk that we're likely to be exposed to. And so, as has also been said, hopefully we never get to have to use anything that we've been involved in today and throughout the year. Well, let's just keep our fingers crossed. But anyway, might see some of you back next triennium, but may or may not. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor Emmett, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to those people who have just come in. Congratulations, Barbara, and thank you so much for your service. Yeah, I'd have to say this committee for me is one of the most important, you know, in our roles as mayor and alternate. And I think we just have to be really conscious. We have to keep deciphering the information that we're receiving here and taking it back to our elected members and our communities. And I've really enjoyed getting to know everybody, the team members, staff and management, and I hope to see some of us all around the table again. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Emmett. Her Deputy Worship, Deputy Mayor Kai Fong, please, for Rotorua Lakes.
Thank you, Mayor Faylene. Oh, thank you very much, everyone. Can I just wish everyone all the best for the elections, and having me there as an alternate for Mayor Tapsell. We've enjoyed being part of this committee together. I think that as part of, I've just been asked to do an induction survey, and one of the things I think that from our council's perspective is that there just needs to be a greater focus for the new incoming councillors on civil defence training. So really like to acknowledge the work of the staff, and also to you, Mayor Faylene, for ably chairing our meetings for us through this. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kai Fong. His Worship and our Deputy Chair of our Joint Committee, please, Medina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just want to acknowledge, firstly your chairmanship. I think you've done a fantastic job and appreciate that. And I also want to thank the civil defence team at my council and also at MBOP, and reflect that I did, unfortunately, and as did others in the room, have to declare a state of emergency right at the beginning of our triennium, and the support and response to that was pretty good. So appreciate that. Thank all the teams that volunteer their services in that way and go the extra mile. Really appreciated, and hope to see everyone back again in a couple of months. Thank you.
Excellent. You can see us sweeping across the Bay of Plenty at Ohe. His Worship, Mayor Drysdale, please.
Good morning, everyone. Obviously, I'm one of the lucky ones, and I know I will be here in the next triennium. But I just want to wish you guys all well, and hope to see a number of you back at the table. I want to say a very big thank you to all the staff and everyone involved in emergency management. It's been amazing to see all that goes on behind the scenes, and I came in and observed the joint disaster practice we had a couple of weeks ago, and it was great to see us all working together and simulating a weather event, and hopefully it's one of those things you always prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and hopefully we don't have to go through that in real. But watching the team, I'm very confident that we're very capable of responding if the worst case does happen. So just thank you to everyone for your hard work. I just want to finish with a big heartfelt thanks to Barbara. You've been awesome to work with over the past 15 months, and we wish you all the best into what you do, and obviously listening to the list of your achievements is quite impressive. So really wish you well in everything you do, and thank you for everything you've done for not only Tauranga City, but also a number of the other councils around the Western Bay, as well as into the Central Plateau. So thank you very much, and good luck with your next adventure.
Thank you. Well, those open up Councillor Schuller as our alternate member. Welcome on in.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, just firstly here to all the other members. And I'll say that on behalf of Deputy Mayor Jen Schooler as well, all the best in your upcoming campaigns. And yeah, like the Mayor said, hopefully we can see you all back around here soon. Been a year of a lot of learning right across the board, but here for the civil defence as well. A lot for us new elected members to get our head around. And so just to finish, thank you so much to you, Barbara, for all your support in this role, but also for supporting us, the new EMs, right across for this last year, 15 months. So 27 years of your knowledge is going with you, but a lot of your spirit will stay, and we're all very grateful. So thank you very much.
And we'll finish with leave the best for last, as they sometimes say, Councillor Campbell, for the Regional Council, who looks after all of us that call the Bay of Plenty home.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to acknowledge Barbara, because actually I've been here 2 years longer than she has, so so I feel a little bit embarrassed to say that. But look, it's been an absolute honour working with Barbara over the years, and she has been involved with stuff around the Eastern Bay particularly, And always, and as you say, Barbara, Edgecombe was a trying time for everybody, staff, and councillors and mayor all at once. And to keep a lid on a whole lot of grumpy people who are coming at you from all sides was just amazing, really. So thank you for that, and appreciate it. And may we still see you around the table or around the traps at some time. But can I also acknowledge, please, Your Worship, your bravery with Gabrielle, because sometimes it's quite difficult to make a declaration and then it all fizzles out on you, and you're not the most popular person around the traps. But we all stood by you, and I know even some of our staff were a bit grumpy about not getting home to have a shower that night. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather them smell a bit next morning than get washed away. So those are the sort of things that you've got to put up with in this game. 3 years ago, when I stood for regional council, and Doug said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "You just throw whatever you can at me, but I'm quite happy. I've been with civil defence for the last 21 years as mayor, and a little bit longer as standing in for Mayor Hartley. So I was quite happy to stay on civil defence. And over those years, I've seen some, it was civil defence was sort of something, like we just said, wasn't very sexy. It was, in fact, it was a bit of a joke, to be honest. So we have come so far over those years, and I think we're a real professional team now, ready for whatever life throws at us. But boy, oh boy, Gabrielle, and what I just saw on TV yesterday or last night when I got home in China, you're never prepared for that. Never, ever will you be prepared, and you'll just be overwhelmed. And the most important thing then, Stace and all your crew, that's when it comes to picking up the pieces, and Barbara knows that, you just don't prepare for that sort of thing to happen. So sticking together is the most important thing, I think. And yeah, so may we not ever have to, as Mayor Drysdale said, prepare for the worst and hope for the very, very best. But that doesn't always pan out, and sometimes we really do have to stick together. But can I just acknowledge you with your leadership? A young mayor or a new mayor coming into it and bang, straight into it, and having to declare I thought it was quite funny to be at the time. But you got my support 100%. So I hope I'm still around the table in the next triennium, and look forward to working with all of you. And thank you to the staff. It's been really appreciative, and picking up the pieces from our administration team. So that's so important. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Look, I'm really aware that at the beginning of this triennium, we had some early declarations in our Bay Plenty group setting. It was necessary, and we would never apologise for over-declaring than under-declaring. And I get that confirmation, absolutely. Thank you for that, Barbara. We saw some under-declaring in other parts of our country 3 years ago that didn't look after the people well or serve them well. I feel very confident saying that now with Barbara here confirming that we have learned along the way and on the ride. We've made several different declarations in different parts of our communities in our time. I'm aware that, and would like to acknowledge, please, we started the journey 3 years ago with Director Norday, and we now conclude this journey with Director Crow. As is the nature of our work, we have kaimahi. We're nothing without our kaimahi, and those are the worker bees that make things happen. And better prepare those in representative roles to be able to give a reassurance that we're okay. It's a really tricky thing to do when people are scared and frightened and vulnerable, and we rely hugely and heavily on the preparedness work that's undertaken by our staff and our operational team so that we can simply share messages with the confidence and reassurance that the help is there and available. Team, thank you for having me as our chair for this triennium. It has been a sincere honour, as our former Mayor of Kawerau shared, and now our councillor for the Regional Council. There's a lot of legislation, and it is one of those, it's very similar to insurance, it's kind of there in the background, but when it's required very, very quickly, at a great speed and pace, to look after a lot of people. And that is the, look, that's the honour of the role in the service of our people. It is a privilege. Thank you for that, Barbara. It's been a privilege to be able to, in this particular way, perhaps just conduct traffic sometimes, which is the role of the chair, or hug people. And we're not immune to hugging as well. That goes a long way, I'm sure, Barbara. Yes, I've got confidence and assurance of that too. Team, we have come to the conclusion of our final meeting for this triennium. We do have all but Tauranga City Council actually across the Bay of Plenty currently in local body election roles. That is the beauty of democracy. I have every confidence that whoever is returned to the table to represent our communities, they will be welcomed warmly by our civil defence Haumaru team. So if I can please, if there's nothing further, Director Crow, if there's nothing further.
Perhaps if I could just take a liberty to extend my thanks. Initially, Barbara, thank you for the support you've provided and the leadership you've provided in the space. I very much inherited your legacy. I've come in quite late, but can certainly see the rewards of the work and effort you've put in, so thank you. Thank you, Mufalene. It's been an absolute pleasure working alongside you for the time I've been in the space. Thank you, and certainly hope to see you back shortly. I thank you all for the leadership and guidance you provide. We put a lot of content in front of you at times, and I know how heavy that can be. I also know, having not walked in your shoes, granted, but I know from what I can sort of observe how these roles work out for you. They're somewhat thankless at times, and some of these decisions are hard to make. So it doesn't come lightly to say thank you for the effort and support you provide us. It is critical. A lot of the time, as we reflected on earlier, it's really, really unseen until it's suddenly not. So the work we do here is incredibly important. So thank you for your support. And thank you once again for the moment to speak.
Thank you, Director Crow. We will invite back to the table Manager Stace Tahiri, please, to close kia whakakapi tā tātou hui, to close our meeting with karakia whakamutunga, with our closing prayer. Thank you, Stace.
Kia ora tātou.